Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. I am one of your hosts, Memo, and right beside me, I've got Hoops. How you doing?
What's going on, man? Overall, I've been doing good. Just getting through in life. Been working a good amount, and it's been not much different since the last time we got together, which has been a little bit of
It
time.
it has been a while. We've kind of took a break without planning the break. I don't even. I was our last episode the trade deadline episode
I think it was, yeah, the trade deadline.
because I was planning
Granted,
on doing the All Star game, and I even recorded the episode, but I was so busy I couldn't upload it, which it's okay, I guess. I went on some crazy rants towards the end. Not gonna lie, even though the All Star game itself was good, I was just ranting because of the KD files and the propaganda being pushed
oh
about
yeah, that
other
was
things. I
crazy.
was just going off on a bunch of NBA players, so we're missing that. But at the same time, I might have said stuff that we've got a lot of people upset with me. So maybe it's a good thing that I didn't upload that episode. But yeah, that's why that episode didn't go out, because I was busy. And then last week we just we're both mute or
Well,
something. We didn't talk or anything. We
quite
were both super busy.
yeah, quite frankly, there really was nothing to talk about last week because All-Star break didn't
That's true.
resume until Thursday. So,
That's true. And we usually
yeah,
record Thursday or Friday. I mean, we could have
yeah,
talked a little bit more about the All Star game, but that would have been old news by then. So
yeah,
yeah,
true.
we didn't mean to take a break, but the break ended up kind of making sense at the end of the day, because we were busy and there wasn't a lot to talk about either. But we
Yeah,
got a
true that.
very exciting episode for today, because today is our 100th episode. 100 episodes we've been doing this. That isn't that crazy? How time
It
flies
is.
so fast. Our first episode was when you first started, your job, and you were doing your trading in China. So we had to figure out this weird time zone thing and try to figure out how to record. And you have the you know the internet issues because it's different over there in China, right? So
Oh yeah, that was tough for sure.
yeah. So how do you feel after 100 episodes in about this journey? I wouldn't say we've made a lot of progress, but it's been a fun journey. This is one of my highlights every week, just talking to you about ball. So, uh, you know,
Yeah,
how has this been for you?
definitely has been a great journey. Obviously basketball, one of my top passions, one of your top passions. Whenever we have a talk, it always tends to be a good one. Every now and then, here and there, we'll have a few disagreements, but a lot of times we also have a good amount of agreements as well. And then what makes things interesting is when obviously when there's a certain topic within the league that is like a big headline, whether it's a trade, um, player scored like a very crazy stat line, player did something dumb, so forth. There's always something that keeps the conversation going, and it's always a good time to talk ball for sure. So yeah, it is crazy though how we're already at 100, because as you said, the first episode was back when I was overseas, and that was that was in September of 2023, which now we are okay, so we are over 2 years,
Over to you. Yeah.
almost 2.5 years basically. Um, we, if we're to be precise, that would be, uh, let's see, that would be 29 months later.
Oh, that's crazy.
I'm like, damn, where has the time come? Yeah, because we had some highlights on the way. Obviously, the first year we did that happened to be the first year of the NBA Cup and the year when the Lakers won the NBA Cup. That was
Oh
cool.
yeah, that was cool. Um,
Yeah.
Obviously the Luca trade was a big thing. We made an
Yeah.
emergency podcast for that
Oh yeah,
one. That
that
was our
was a
first and
good one.
only one, and that was such a fun night talking about
It
the Luca
was.
trade.
Yeah. I think that one has to I think that one's easily my favorite episode for
That
sure
has to be.
because we were like so like shocked by the news,
The
but yeah,
world
we were
was.
obviously very hyped by it. And
Yeah.
then at the same time, we were like, damn, we also lost AD. Like, obviously, Luca is like a lot younger and clearly the better player. But at the same time, we also lost a guy to help us win a championship. So it was definitely a lot of mixed emotions. But yeah, that was a fun night for sure. Um, yeah, safe to say, we have had some fun moments within these last 2.5 years. And definitely going to be many more to come and look forward to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I'm looking through our catalog right now, looking through our like most viewed videos, and a lot of them are like our list videos where we're like ranking like the best players in the league. Those are always super fun to do. I love making those episodes, and we had like a summer where like we did like we were kind of popping off in like our context, right? Getting a good amount of views on like a good amount of the episodes. So, yeah, obviously we are both passionate about basketball. Yeah, we are also very busy. You work, I work. I also go to school. In the middle of a master's program right now, so it's hard to like do the things that will help the channel grow, like create shorts and posts consistently on like social media and stuff. I think if we kept up on that, then our channel would have been like a lot bigger by now. But for what it is, for like a side project that we just do casually when we have like some spare time, right? I'm pretty proud of what we've done with this channel, with this podcast, and who knows, maybe by episode 200 we'll be where we want to be. We'll see, but at the
For
moment,
sure.
I'm pretty proud of what we've been doing.
Yeah, as am I. And obviously, we had the personal dreams of doing a podcast like long ago,
Oh, long
like
ago when we were
back
in
when
community college.
community college. Yeah. I remember during the summer of 2018, we did a few like basically test recording episodes.
Yeah.
Um, and those are fun. Obviously back then, obviously like the internet was still good. But I think the resources were not quite where they are today. Like if I recall correctly, back then like my laptop was still good enough, but I also remember like at least like phone wise, I didn't even have an iPhone back then. I was using my dad's old crappy Samsung Note 3.
Oh yeah. I was using my shitty laptop for like the editing and all of that. We didn't have like mics. The mics like we use now are on the cheaper side,
A
so that's
lot
what.
better.
But like they're a lot better, obviously, than not having mics. So like we've made some upgrades throughout the years since we got like some money through our jobs and stuff, and we were able to use that in a way to make efficient and like well crafted podcasts, because like I feel like most people with what do we have, like 40 subscribers, that's barely anything, but I feel like most channels with 40 subscribers don't have like the quality we have in
I
regards to
agree.
like the production, the audio, the editing, stuff like that. uh like we our talent is there. We're just like we just don't promote as much as we probably should, but we kind of know what we're doing at this point. We just don't like you know promote it as much as we should probably. Either way,
Yeah.
this has been fun, and we're gonna continue having fun, especially with this episode, because this I can't believe we haven't done something like that. Well, we've done some similar stuff, but we haven't done an episode like this at all. So I'm very excited. What we're doing, we're drafting teams today. We're drafting our dream all time lineup, 15 player rosters. That's what we're doing today. We've done something similar. Like I feel like a couple summers ago, we, would use a wheel to like draft like a starting five, but we're going for an entire roster today. And like you were the one that came up with this idea. We were thinking for a while what we should do for episode 100. We didn't really have a good idea until you brought this up. I really love how you brought this up because like this is something like we did in like high school, right? Like we would like draft our own teams and like make them on
I do remember
2K and
that.
play together like that. So yeah, like how did you remember about this, and like do you have like an extensive memory on like what we did in the past, or like was it just like it popped out of nowhere? And like how did you get this idea is what I'm trying to say.
So honestly, I don't remember too much about when we basically did this back in high school per se. But I feel like it kind of just came into my mind out of nowhere. Just thinking like it would be pretty cool to see like how our minds could work either differently or similarly in regards to like trying to build the best team possible. Um, Obviously, a lot of it will have to do with preferences, like whether you prefer a player that is more offensive oriented, defensive oriented, balanced, or maybe you just prefer star power. Another thing is obviously who's available, who's taken. That's another thing that can be playing factor. Um, but aside from that, I just think that it'd be a cool idea to see like with basically you you are the GM and you're allowed to pick unlimited talent. How would you like to build your team? I think is definitely something that I thought was like very interesting and yeah, um, that'd be pretty cool. I think. I don't remember too much about when we did the 2K thing exactly as far as like the team we picked or like how it went. Um, but who knows? Maybe after we do this draft, we will have to simulate into 2K to see how it pans out.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, we're drafting an all-time roster, 15 players each, and we're gonna do a snake draft. We were debating about this for a bit, but I think we are gonna stick with the snake draft. Which, if you're not familiar, like one of us will go first, and then when the other person goes, they get two picks right after, and then it's basically two and two from there. Um, so uh, we gotta decide who goes first. Um, Part of me wants to say, since it was your birthday earlier this month, right? And well, we're hopefully celebrating this weekend finally. Uh,
Hope so. Yeah.
I was thinking just having you decide whether you want to be, if whether you want to have the first pick or if you want to be the second pick and have, pick two and three.
Let's see. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like I feel like I've kind of had the end of the bargain as far as like I guess whether picking first or favorable bounces as far as the coin toss. I think I'm gonna be a little bit generous today, and I'll let Memo pick first.
Okay, okay, sounds good. So we are now officially going to start our 15-man all time draft. I got the very first pick. This is tough because there's players I want to choose, players that I feel like I have to choose, and then you know, basically debating what is the right move to start with, like position wise too, because like there's certain positions that are more important than others in my opinion. But you know what?
Definitely.
I am not gonna think too hard about it. I am just gonna go for the goat and just build from there. And if you know me, you know my goat is Michael Jordan. So I will go with Michael Jordan as my very first pick. He can no longer be picked. This was hard because I have a feeling since I took Jordan, you're gonna take a certain player I do like a lot, personally a lot more, but you know I think Jordan's the better player, so I'll stick with Jordan as the number one pick. And it would be crazy if you know he wasn't the first pick or the second pick either. Like I don't know how you would have drafted, but we would get flamed if we did choose Jordan 1 or 2. So might as well
Yeah,
pick him up at number one, and it's not a bad option, right? It's Michael Jordan, so yeah, going with the goat.
for sure. Great pick. And I would say it's the correct pick because if I had number one, I would have picked him also.
Okay, okay,
Um,
good to know. Good to know.
yeah. That being said, um, since we are doing snake style, and I have the next two picks for number two, I guess I'll say one and then the other. All right. Number two pick, I'll go with I'll go with LeBron for two, and then I'll go with Kobe for three.
Okay, okay. So you took my guy. You took Kobe. I had the chance, but it's Michael Jordan. I couldn't just leave him on the board. So
Yeah.
yeah, you chose wisely. I feel like you definitely chose a good, good pick. And obviously LeBron is up there as one of the greatest of all time. So it makes sense that you have him as your number two pick, and he's another player where like if we don't pick him in the top three, we would get flamed for that. So, yeah, all right, good pick. I guess pick 4 and 5, right? So this is where
Hmm.
the team building aspect comes into play. I know Michael Jordan is amazing. He's not, the greatest shooter of all time, so might as well pick the greatest shooter as his, backcourt mate. And I'll go with Steph at number, I guess, 4, the fourth pick,
Fourth
right?
pick, yeah.
Because Jordan wasn't known for his threes, but might as well choose the guy that is known for his threes as his partner. And having Jordan besides Curry would be good because Jordan is a good defender, or a really good defender. So I'll keep him there. And the next pick, this I'm having a debate. I'm trying to figure out players that would mesh well with him, but also want to like try some weird stuff out too. But okay, I'm thinking about two people. I'm thinking about a small forward and a center,
Mm.
and I think I might go with the center, especially since you have Kobe, so I gotta take Shaq. You can't have that dynamic duo. So I'm taking Shaq with for my center. So that's what, the fifth pick of the draft.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. So Shaq is my center.
All right. Not bad, I will say, not bad. So, I will say I didn't necessarily think about your tactic of denying the Kobe Shaq duo, but low key a smart chess move by you.
Thank you.
Um, but yeah, pretty good picks, I will say. So now we are on picks number 6 and picks number 7. Um, So seeing the structures of our two teams, clearly there's few positions. Obviously, you have your point guard. I don't have my point guard. You have your center. I don't have my center yet. That being said, I feel like it would only be right if I address my needs. Um, you took Steph Curry, who is the greatest shooter of all time. I feel like I have to get the guy who is the arguable 1A, 1B of point guards that people be debating. I'm gonna go ahead and take Magic Johnson, Lakers legend, and business legend too. I'll give him that.
All right, good pick, good pick.
Um, and so then for my next pick, um, since you just got a center, I feel like I gotta address my need as well. Um, Shaq not available, so there will be no Kobe and Shaq duo. However, there is another very great Lakers
Oh shit.
great, and I think I'm gonna have to go with him. And I barely just thought about it. I did not get the Kobe and Shaq duo, but I'm gonna go ahead and get another legendary duo. That being said, my pick with the seventh overall pick will be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Damn.
So Showtime Lakers, Magic Johnson, and Kareem.
All right.
Speaking of which,
Damn.
speaking of which, my roster so far is all Lakers players,
Oh
or
yeah,
at
all
least played
Lakers.
for Lakers at some time. Funny enough.
You're right. You're right. Dude, I'm starting to like your lineup more. Okay, but I gotta pull through right here with these next two picks. So for my small forward, obviously LeBron is the best small forward of all time. I wouldn't say the pick I'm gonna go with would be considered like the second best small forward of all time, but he's for sure Michael Jordan's best teammate. So I feel like for fit wise, for the defense aspect, and he's still like a talented offensive player. I'm going with Scottie Pippen as my uh, small forward. Maybe that's a
All right.
crazy take because there's a lot of great talented small forwards out there, but it's the defense that I am really wanting. Offense is gonna be amazing because of Steph and Jordan. We need a versatile defender, so that's why I'm taking Pippen. And the power forward. So this one, I'm debating between two power forwards. Actually, three. I'm basically debating between like my personal like top three power forwards. Like I could go with. I'm trying to think of fit wise, and I don't want to clog up the paint, but I also want some defensive identity as well. So I am struggling on who to pick, but you know what? I think I'll just go with like the obvious pick and go with like the best power forward of all time, which is Tim Duncan. So he will be my power forward. Even though I would like to stretch the floor a bit more, but Timmy could hit some bank mid range shots, so I will go with Tim Duncan.
I will say, your point about Scotty is definitely a fair one. Obviously, he's not necessarily like the flashiest name. Um, I think one thing to consider is like team chemistry is always very important. We've seen a lot of failed super teams in the past because of the egos not being able to be kept in check, and chemistry just wasn't there. Um, on the contrary, we've seen teams that have been a lot less talented that pan out a lot better because the chemistry just meshed a lot more well. So that being said, like I actually don't hate your pick getting Scotty for that reason. And then Tim Duncan, obviously, as you said, easily the greatest power forward of all time. Um, Knowing that that was the only position that you were needing to fill at that point in time, it all makes sense that you picked him. So, um, not bad. He was definitely high on the remaining board for me. So, I would say you did a good job of preventing me from getting him.
Awesome.
All right. Now for me to decide who I would like to go for. Let's see. Okay. I think so. Right now, currently, position wise, power forward is the only one I'm missing. Another thing to consider is obviously if we're talking about like positions for building the entire roster, what maybe I guess which ones have more options, which ones have less options. That's where things get a little bit tricky. Um, I think that to counter the Tim Duncan selection, there could be like maybe one or two ways to go with it, but I think if I were to try to counter best, I would have to go as another guy that I think would be like more so similar to him in the sense knowing that like Tim Duncan is a very good two-way player. He is great on the defensive end and he's also very solid on the defensive end. There are some power forwards that are like one or the other. Um, I think the best way to counter is another guy that's also like somewhat similar to Tim Duncan. So I think I'm gonna have to go with Kevin Garnett as my next pick,
Nice. That
which would be number 10
number
overall.
10. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was one of the power forwards I was debating. I it's like neck and neck, but like Tim Duncan's for sure the better defender. But again, I wanted to space the floor, and I think debatably maybe Kevin Garnett is better for that. What would you say?
Um, I would say yeah, debatably. I mean, neither of these guys are really like jump shooters per se, but I think both of them had like a pretty decent like mid-range shot.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think I think Garnett was a better mid-range shooter though. Um, I do remember Duncan had like a really cool like semi side of back like bank shot. I remember
Hmm.
like he would be on like the left wing or right wing and he would bank it in. That was pretty cool. Um, Neither of them were 3-point shooters, obviously. But I feel like Garnett, like here and there. I mean, I don't know how many they both made in their career. I do know that Tim Duncan, he didn't make many. I think he made like one or two threes in his. I think he made like two or three, maybe like five threes maximum, something like that. I
Really?
do remember he had one game that he made two against the Suns. Like it was super like out of the norm where he was like draining threes in crucial moments.
I remember he hit
Um,
a game-winning three, I believe.
oh, I think I do. Um, Actually, I don't know how. Maybe he made a lot more than what I anticipated. Honestly, I feel like early in his career he didn't make many, and then towards the end he probably shot a little bit more. Um, Garnett, I feel like he probably shot like more than Duncan, but still not a lot.
Yeah, he didn't. You were right. Duncan didn't really shoot a lot of threes. He
Yeah.
only made 30, and his career
Hmm.
percentage is 17.9. So yeah,
Ooh,
I
yeah,
wasn't. I knew Tim Duncan wasn't a 3-point shooter like that, but
yeah. Hey,
I didn't
so
know it was
my
that bad either.
my five statistic was pretty off, but the percentage wise, I guess
Yeah,
understandable.
Garnett is
Um,
better, just not the best. Obviously, he made 174
True.
threes in his
Oh yeah.
career, and by in perspective, Nipple just hit 200 recently. He's the fastest player to ever do it. And this
Ooh.
is a rookie season, so just by comparison, that's how little that amount is for Kevin Garnett, who had a 21 season career, and his percentage is 27.5%. So All right, good to know. I'm trying my best not to look at stats. I'm trying to
Yeah,
just
same.
use my ball knowledge as much as possible, to not like make these decisions. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I believe you got another pick, right? You chose your power
Yeah, I
forward.
do have another pick.
Okay, okay. Your
I'm
sixth man.
yeah, it's a little bit actually it's a little bit tricky right now because like this is where like now you go from building like your starting lineup to building your depth pieces.
Yeah.
Um Now I will say this, even though I'm picking even though I'm picking this guy six, I wouldn't necessarily say that he has to be the six man per se, but he's definitely like at least potentially like a very good bench player. And so right now I'm trying to think like which one of these players I guess has like maybe like the less amount of firepower or like the lesser depth pieces. Um and that's a little bit tricky. But after like considering factors, I think for my personal six pick, 11th overall, I think I'm gonna have to go with Dwayne Wade, being
Interesting.
Kobe's backup.
Okay. I did not see you doing that. Okay. I didn't expect that
Yeah,
at
it
all.
was. This was a tricky one. Like there's so many options to pick from, but ultimately, I feel like a a pretty decent guy to go back up Kobe. Um, I think would be like a good way to go here.
Yeah, I guess now thinking about it, the shooting guard position hasn't been like historically top tier. So picking,
Yeah, that's one of the things I kind of like realized.
I guess choosing your backup shooting guard is a good move. Uh, what I'm gonna do right now for my next two picks, I am gonna improve on the small forward position because like obviously I chose Scotty because I have Michael Jordan. He's a versatile defender. He can score, but he's not like the greatest scorer either. And I'm also lacking a bit of playmaking as well. Like, Scotty could do his thing, Steph could do his thing, Jordan could do his thing. But, I want a bit more playmaking. So I think this player can help out more on the small forward position with the scoring and playmaking. So the player I'm choosing is Larry Bird, as
Okay.
my sixth man. I think if I need like a more offensive lineup, I'll take out Scotty and replace it with Larry. But if I need more defense, put Scotty in. So that's my small forward. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Well, I guess I just mentioned playmaking is a bit of an issue of mine at the moment. It's like Steph is good, but he's not known for his passing. So I guess I should choose a more traditional point guard to lead the bench. Um, you chose the best one, unfortunately, with Michael Jordan. I mean, damn, Magic Johnson, um, which obviously you had to pick him. So I'm debating between two like classic traditional point guards. I kind of don't want to pick either of them at the moment, just because you know they're not like the flashiest. Well, they're flash. You know what? I'm gonna stop yapping, and I'll just pick Steve Nash. I'm picking Steve Nash as my backup point guard. One of the greatest passers of all time. Very efficient scorer. He doesn't average a lot, but that's okay. I just need him to pass the ball to Jordan or to Larry Bird or to whoever. So, you know what? Steve Nash is who I'm going to go with as my point guard.
All right. Okay. I see you got so you got Steph and Steve at point guard.
Yup.
Nice. And then Larry Bird was a good one. I think that he is probably very well the second best
Yeah.
small forward of all time behind LeBron. Um, so yeah, not bad. So you got like a good amount of like 90s players, and then you got some 2000s players, and then you got one player that is mm, like
Current.
current, but I guess you can say he became popular in the 2010s.
Yeah.
So a pretty good tribute to the different eras, I say. Um, so now for me to decide where I would like to go with my team. Let's see. So taking a look at the potential options that are available, um, I think that let's see. So point guards. All right. So I think that this it's definitely gets tricky here. Gotta this is a time where you think about like the depth pieces and like when this player goes out, who would be best to fit in. Um, that being said, I think probably also to build up the I guess what I you have and don't have, or what I have and don't have. I think I might need to also potentially address the small forward position. Um, kind of thinking two ways here and there. Um, but I feel like I have to go probably with. I think I'm gonna go with KD here, Kevin Durant.
Okay. Part of me was hoping he'd slip, and I'll take him. But yeah, it
Yeah,
makes sense.
I will say between the small forwards, it was between him and some other guy that I was thinking. Ultimately, I feel like this guy was probably the one to go here. Um, with my next pick, though, which I honestly lost track of whatever number it was overall, but let's see. There's a few options to pick from. Um, I think I would have to, at this point, think. All right. This one might be like you could say maybe maybe controversial or maybe not controversial depending on the person you're taking. But I feel like I probably do need to have like a little bit of floor spacing and also like a playmaker, like a 2-in-1. Um Obviously Kareem and Garnett, they are really good like force to be reckoned with. Neither of them are really like guys that can stretch the floor. That being said, I think that like going with a piece that's a little bit more modern that can stretch the floor a little bit, I will go with Nikola Jokic, the
No.
Joker.
No. I was hoping he'd slip too. He wasn't even like the next center I was gonna go for,
I
but
was literally thinking between him and another guy.
I might take him right
Um,
now.
all right.
Uh,
We shall see who
we'll
that
see.
other guy is
Yeah,
then.
we'll see. Because right now, like my smaller guys are, not the best defenders like Steve Nash. So I need my big guys to pick up the defense for me. So why not choose like the greatest defender of all time, debatably, and go with Hakeem Olajuwon as my backup center to Shaq. Um, Obviously,
All right.
incredible offensive player as well. MVP, multiple time defensive player of the year. I think multiple time. I don't know. Well, was that the guy you were debating, or was it someone else?
It was, yeah, it was between I was thinking between Hakeem or Joker. Ultimately I thought of Joker just because like he could stretch the floor and also like shoot threes.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah,
He's like efficient at it too. It's crazy.
yeah.
Um, okay, I am gonna do
But
something.
like
Or go on.
I'm not gonna lie, what you did was the two-man twin towers though is pretty badass, I will say.
Yeah, and I'm gonna continue that because again, I have an idea for my shooting guard, but I might not go with him yet because he's not the best defender, and I have a feeling you won't pick him. So I'm gonna actually go with my power forward and just keep going with the theme of two-way bigs, and I'm actually gonna go with Giannis as my backup power forward.
Ooh, okay, that is a good one. Not gonna lie, I was hoping he would slip because he was he was definitely on my watch list. Um, but good pick on your part. We finally picked a few more active guys.
Oh yeah.
Um, Basically, I took a guy you wanted that's active. You took a guy that I wanted that's active. So we can call it even there. um, but yeah, now to put, I guess now to factor things in, um, because I am one short at the power forward position and I'm one short at the point guard position. How would I like to go right now? Um, well, since you took Giannis, I feel like I definitely need to build up my depth here. I wouldn't necessarily say it would be like a counter to Giannis because their games are completely different. Um, but I think I do need to build up my power forward position. That being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take Dirk Nowitzki.
Damn. I was hoping he'd slip.
Yeah. And then now to decide who my 10th man would be. Um, so clearly at the moment, point guard is the one position that I have the least number of players at. But at the same time, I gotta decide. I guess like, yeah, let me see. What are the options here?
I don't want to help
Um,
you out or anything, but you could always choose, a bench player from a different position as well. You don't have to
yeah,
get the point guard now.
that's what I'm thinking right now. Like which position would like have which position would last longer and which position would have like less depth is what I have to think. um I'm not gonna lie. I think I might wait on getting my point guard because I gotta think like which position has like the least amount of depth, for example. Um I feel like the shooting guard position just doesn't really have a lot of like extreme star power. So I feel like I gotta get my guy here. Um, I think I'll go with Allen Iverson.
All right, all right. That's who I thought you were gonna get. All right, good pick. Good pick. This actually works out for me because the player I want, I definitely knew you wouldn't want him because you hate this guy. But I feel like he could
Ooh,
be a
okay.
spark plug, shoot some threes, cross people over, and I could keep him on the bench during the playoffs. The next guy I'm picking is James Harden.
I like how you roasted him despite taking him. Keep him on the bench during the playoff. Yeah. And I think another thing to obviously consider is like obviously um I think that for most of his career, the main position James Harden play is obviously shooting guard. But then recently he kind of started playing point guard a little bit. So
Yeah.
that's where you got to factor like where do you want to put him here? I think the key is like a lot of these players are interchangeable.
Right.
So yeah. Um that's not so I will say like that's not a bad pick. Even though I'm not a fan of his, not a bad pick. And the fact that you said you can just bench him in the playoffs, very fair point. Very fair point.
All right. So yeah, he's a versatile pick because if I need another playmaker, I got him. This is where it gets really interesting because like, who can I go with from here? Um, because we're down, or I'm down to my final five. You know, players. I could go any direction at this moment. Um, and you know what? Since we're coming down to the wire, I think I'm just gonna choose a player that I just really like. I like his game a lot. Maybe I won't play him often, but if I need a bit of energy off the bench, he could provide that for me. He could do the little things as well. Give me Russell Westbrook as my final point guard selection.
Okay.
Were you thinking about picking him at all?
Um I feel like it's tricky because obviously I am a really big fan of his. He Thinking about the point guard position was a little bit tricky for me because I feel like there's like several ways you can go with it. I guess I somehow didn't really think about Russ, but not gonna lie, I don't hate the pick.
All right, so it's your turn. You get to pick two more.
All right. So last round I decided to not address the point guard position yet and go elsewhere. I think it's time to address the point guard position. Um, so you picked Russ, the triple double machine. For my pick, I'm gonna go with an OG triple double machine that happened to be before Russ. I'm gonna go with Oscar Robertson.
Ooh, okay.
Um,
So good, kind of like a counter to my pick.
yeah. Now I will say, even before you announced Russ, I still was thinking low key about picking him here, like as my backup point guard. So, like, it turned out to be like the perfectly like counter pick, but I definitely thought about him even beforehand. Um, so yeah, there is something, a little piece of news there. Um, and for my next pick, let's see. Let's see the available options first. Which route would I like to go here? So I think okay. I think I'm gonna actually go with addressing my final small forward piece here. And that being said, I think that going with a two-way would be a good way to go. I'm gonna go ahead and take Kawhi Leonard.
God damn it, dude! That was my next pick. That was my next
Oh,
pick. No way! Oh my god, you messed things up for me. Oh my. Okay. Uh, that sucks. Um. Shit. Okay. Now I have to like. Oh, you made it hard on me. Okay. 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 I'm gonna ignore the small forward position now, especially since like you can't even pick another small forward. It's not like you could steal another one of my guys. So I'll
yeah.
pick a position you haven't covered yet. So your shooting guards filled, small forwards filled. I already did point guard, so I'll choose, I guess, center and power forward. Center, debating between two guys. Um, and I'll choose the guy. These two had a rivalry. I'll choose the guy that ended up winning most of the time. I'll go with Bill Russell for my center. I'm probably
Mm,
missing a bunch of names right now and blanking on like better centers at the moment. But you know, Bill Russell is a beast defensively. So there's that.
paying homage.
Paying homage. I gotta give a shout out to one of the OGs, I guess. And then power forward. They, I have two in mind, and I'm gonna pick the newer guy. Maybe this is controversial, but you know, in his prime, he is like an MVP candidate. He throughout his career, he's been a winner, and he's a beast on both ends. So and could stretch the floor like in his prime. Right? He had a good stretch where he was like draining threes like crazy. Give me Anthony Davis.
Okay.
I don't know if you were gonna go in that direction at all, but yeah, those are my two picks.
Okay, not bad. Now I will say, for sure I was struggling to think about power forward. I feel like we all took the best ones off the board,
Yeah,
and there's gotta be good ones out there still. I'm just kind of like blanking out a little bit
yeah, I've got
there.
one in mind.
Yeah, I'm thinking. That being said, I feel like both of us now, the remaining positions we need are the ones that each other already. For example, the one positions that I need, you already addressed, and the positions that you need, I already addressed. So at this point in time, like the sequence of picking almost doesn't really matter. It's just thinking about like who do you want as your guy, as your final piece at the positions that you need. Um, that being said, I gotta think here. Um, so I need point guard, power forward, and center. Um, let's see.
This is hard.
It is, yeah.
I'm trying to
Um,
think of my shooting guard and small forward right now.
it is hard, not gonna lie. Okay, I think probably I will go with my center first just because I have a better idea of like there's still a lot of very good centers out there available technically. I feel like center low key was like one of the more stacked positions if we're talking like all time.
True.
Um, yeah. That being said, I was really thinking between two guys, but at the end, I think I'm gonna have to go with someone who I'm pretty sure you would have mentioned the guy on like the other end of the old rivalry. Um, I would have to go with Wilt Chamberlain
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
for
it
sure.
makes sense.
Yeah, and then with my next pick, having two positions remaining to decide on, um, I will go with. Let's see,
What do you have? A power forward left, right?
power forward and point guard.
Oh, yeah, point
Um,
guard. Okay.
yeah, so we both have. Well, I think you have
I need
two.
two
You
more
you have three
picks.
players or two players left.
Two.
Two players left. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we both have two players left at the moment. Except obviously it's gonna be my pick, your pick, and then end with my pick. Or man, no, end with your pick. I think right because you pick first. Actually, I'm lost. We'll just see how the ordering goes once we pick out naturally. All right. I think for my next pick, I will go ahead and I'll address the point guard first, I guess. Um, I think for my third point guard, I'll go ahead and take another more old school player. I'm gonna go ahead and take Jerry West.
Jerry West. Okay, there you go. Um, yeah, this is hard, dude. This is so
Yeah,
hard. You taking
it's
Kawhi
tricky.
messes things up for me, dude. Um, but you know what? I'm gonna choose this guy because he is an MVP. He's a legend. He is very what's the word? Influential in many aspects. I'll take Dr. J.
Okay, not bad.
And then I got my shooting guard. You already have your three shooting guards, so I'll just talk about the two shooting guards I'm thinking of. Well, actually, now really thinking about it, there's a few options. Okay, so there's Vince Carter, there's Tracy McGrady, there's Reggie Miller, and Ray
Mm,
Allen. So those are
true.
the four I'm thinking of. Um, it's hard to pick which one's the best out of the four of them. But honestly, I've been a fan of this guy for so long. I always thought for the longest time he was the greatest shooter of all time, best form of all time in my opinion. With my final pick, give me Ray Allen. Honestly, Ray Allen is great, and young Ray Allen was sneaky athletic as well, and
Oh
had a
yeah,
good drive game. Like yeah, he's great. So even though it was hard to pick, I'll choose Ray Allen. Had some clutch moments. The two-time champ, right? So yeah, that'll be my final pick for this draft.
nice. Not bad actually. Pretty good. That being said, the last pick for me and the last pick of the draft in general, I would have to address my power forward position. Um, there are two names that come to my mind. Um, and maybe there is one that would probably be the right answer, but not gonna lie, I just do not want to take this guy. Maybe you know why. I'm sure anyone who's viewing would probably know why also. That being said, with my final pick at power forward, give me I'm gonna go with Charles Barkley.
All right, I think that was the right choice at the end of the day.
Yeah,
Basketball wise and moral wise, that was the best choice you
definitely.
could have made.
Yeah. All right. I might as well just say who the other guy is now. Obviously, Carl Malone was
Yeah,
like, um, and like if you were to talk about like basketball wise, maybe he was better than Charles Barkley, but like, I wouldn't say like it was a like very distinguishable difference to say like he was really the better player. Like they were both really good. Um, but like knowing like him moral wise, I just couldn't see myself taking that guy and putting him in this video.
yeah, that
Um,
that would have been crazy.
speaking of which, I'm sure have you seen the clip like from a year ago when Patrick Beverly and this other guy were doing like their version of like a pick, and
Yeah,
then he originally picked Carl Malone, but he didn't know about the story, so his friend told him about it, and he had that meme face where he looked really shocked staring at the
yeah,
camera.
yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
I
that.
was I was not gonna make no mistake like he did. So um,
That was a smart move. Um,
for sure.
we
Um,
let's talk about some snubs because I
yeah.
mentioned some of the shooting guards I was thinking of. You were thinking of the power forwards. Another power forward I was thinking about was Dennis Rodman. Not much on the
Yeah.
offensive end, but a solid defender and rebounder. Like what were some other snubs that you were thinking of for like each position?
Yeah. I can definitely talk about like I guess I can talk about like players that I thought about picking before eventually picking other guys. For example, let me see. I think it was like going back to I think like where the tricky picks came in was when I was deciding like my backup power forward. I mean my backup small forward at the time. When I originally took KD as my second pick, I'm not gonna lie, low key, I was kind of contemplating if I take Kawhi at that time. But then I
Mm,
thought like, nah, I think KD is the better like player overall. Like, Kawhi is probably better like both sides on the floor overall, but like KD being the better like overall player, I had to take him. But because of like Kawhi's two-way ability, I highly like considered taking him like that early at one point. Um, but if we're talking about like snubs, like for guys that didn't get selected by either of us, so when I was talking about like my final center, deciding between two guys, ultimately picking Wilt Chamberlain. The other guy that I thought about taking that I eventually didn't take, David Robinson.
yeah,
I definitely was considering him for sure. He's obviously one of the all-time greats at the center of position. Um, I was like contemplating like who is better between the two. Ultimately, I just went with Wilt being like the though his era was different, he put us some godly numbers back in the
he
day.
did.
Who knows how his numbers would have been if he played in a more competitive league, but
I think he had
um,
like a 70-point game. I think he has a quadruple double under his belt too. He's insane.
he is, yeah. Like, granted, if he played in like the modern league, probably wouldn't have all those numbers, but I'm sure he probably still would be like pretty good. One shall never know, I guess. Um, but yeah, he was one of the players that I think definitely was like a potential snub from both sides. Um, I think another player that you could argue maybe could have been a potential snub, Elgin Baylor.
I was thinking
Um,
Elgin Baylor. I was thinking
yeah.
another Laker as well. Pau Gasol for
Oh
power
yeah.
forward.
Pau Gasol honestly is a very good case for sure. I think that if it like if right like right behind Barkley and Malone, I was low-key struggling to think about like other options. But Powell is like a very good like potential like third best available there. Um, and then if we're saying like if there's any other players that potentially maybe got snubbed, um, I feel like it wouldn't be as crazy anymore at that point. But just to like nitpick names, I guess if you want to talk about point guards, I guess you can honorable mention Isaiah Thomas, John Stockton,
I feel like Isaiah Thomas
Chris
was a big
Paul.
one. Chris Paul
Yeah,
too. Well, I know you're a hater, but like
yeah, I am.
maybe debatably I could have took him, but
Yeah.
I'd rather take Westbrook.
Um, I'm not gonna lie. I wasn't gonna like. I don't think I was gonna take him. But if you were to talk about like slightly more like modern players to at least like have slight consideration, maybe Kyrie Irving. Like if we're
Oh,
talking prime wise,
that's interesting. I will say I
yeah.
thought you were going to go with Isaiah Thomas instead of Jerry West. Uh, I
I
I think
I thought
I
about it.
think IT might be better than Jerry West, but
He might be.
that's
Um,
debatable.
now I I haven't really like watched either of them because they're before our time. But I believe maybe Jerry West might have been like a little bit better on defense than IT. I'm not sure. No idea. But obviously, IT played for Bad Boy Pistons. I'm sure that team was like very physical. I guess he was maybe one of them. Um, but yeah, I would say overall, those are some players that I thought were potential snubs. Any guys I missed that you thought were also?
I listed a bunch of shooting guards. Another shooting guard I probably should have mentioned is Manu Ginobili.
Oh yeah, that's a good
He's
one.
one of my favorite players of all time. I love him so. Uh, yeah, he
Me
deserves a
too.
shout. Small forward is such a weaker position now thinking about it because like Snubs I'm thinking at the moment, Paul George. Um, George
Hmm.
Gervin was solid, but those names aren't as flashy as like
Yeah.
Chris Paul, Isaiah Thomas, um, Dennis Rodman. But other than that, I think we did a pretty good job. Uh, okay, let's do this. We're gonna list or yeah, we'll take turns reading out our rosters, and then after we both read out our rosters, we'll just like make a case, like a 30-second pitch on why our roster is better. So, would you like to read off your team first?
All right, I'll go ahead and do that. So for my team, starting at the point guard position, I got Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, and Jerry West. As shooting guard, I got Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, and Allen Iverson. As small forward, I got LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kawhi Leonard. At power forward, I got Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, and Charles Barkley. And at center, I got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Nikola Jokic, and Wilt Chamberlain.
All right, my roster. So my starting point guard is Stephen Curry. Starting shooting guard, Michael Jordan. Starting small forward, Scottie Pippen. Starting power forward, Tim Duncan. And starting center, Shaq. And for my backup point guards, I've got Steve Nash and Russell Westbrook. Backup shooting guards, James Harden and Ray Allen. Backup small forwards, Larry Bird and Dr. J. Backup power forwards, Giannis and Anthony Davis. And backup center, Hakeem Olajuwon and Bill Russell. So those are our teams. Hoops, make a pitch on why your team is better.
All right, so if I were to make a pitch on why my team is better, um, I think one of the things I can start at is, for example, the center position. Both of our center positions are really good, but I think that Joker and his ability to stretch the floor, play make, and basically do a lot of the things that the other guys that really the rest of our centers as a whole can't do. Um, I think definitely it would be tough. I think it's gonna be tough for one of your guys to guard him. Well, then again, like I think this is where like the debate comes in like very tricky, you know. Like for example, when they talk about like GOAT debates, like one of them I remember hearing was like Jokic versus Shaq. Who would win that one on one? And so then one side is like people would say Jokic can't guard Shaq, but then another side would say Shaq can guard Jokic. So like I feel like a lot of these like matchups, like for example, if we were to do like up and down here, probably the matchup would be Joker versus Hakeem, which is very tricky because like their styles are very different. But I'm not gonna lie, I feel like low key, maybe it'd be a little bit harder for Hakeem to keep up with Jokic's abilities of like playmaking versus like Jokic is pretty good down low. He probably could like keep up a little bit better there. Um, but I would say main takeaway here, that would be like one of the key ones. Aside from that, I think a lot of our positions are not necessarily like the most horrible matchup wise is per se. I mean, like definitely interesting matchups. And a lot of like very, I think a lot of our like roster construction are like literally counters toward each other. Like obviously Magic and Steph, 1A, 1B top point guards. Oscar Robertson, Russell Westbrook, both of them are the triple double machines. Um, I guess Steve Nash, Jerry West is a little bit different, but you can argue one way or another who's better there. Um, Kobe and Jordan are the 1A, 1B shooting guards. Wade and Harden, basically a lot of neck and neck people arguing who's better there. I personally think D Wade is better. Some people probably try to argue Harden's better, which I don't necessarily understand, but yeah, personal opinion. um, Meanwhile, we both have an Allen at shooting guard, mine being Allen Iverson and your being Ray Allen. Um, Both of them were really good, and I was a fan of both. Um, and then I will say, as far as the small forward position goes, um, your small forward position isn't bad. I think my small forwards definitely, for the well, maybe aside from KD, he's not necessarily a defensive guy, more of an offensive guy. But like LeBron and Kawhi, at least if you're talking in their prime, both of them were pretty good, like both sides of the floor. Both like decent on offense and then very good on defense. Um, for your guys, I think for the most part, same. I think my guys are a little bit more explosive on the offensive end, in a way, sometimes. Um, and then the power forward position, I guess, raises more so like interesting matchups. Like Tim and Garnett are basically same. We've seen like that classic rivalry, really good one. I am curious about like how the Dirk and Giannis matchup would go low key because Giannis is definitely a lot better two way, and Dirk is like really good on offense, not the greatest defender per se. And then the Chuck and AD one, definitely interesting there. But I would say basically my end pitch for I guess making a case why my team would be better would more so be like um Jokic being able to stretch the floor as a big, and then more more like explosive offense and two-way play from the small forward position.
All right, good pitch, a good pitch. But I feel like my team is better, and I'll tell you why. I feel like my team has a bit of everything. Right, we've got defensive bigs like Tim Duncan, Hakeem Olajuwon. Some of my bigs could be a bit more versatile. Could guard smaller, faster players like Giannis and Anthony Davis. Um, I also have versatile defenders like Scottie Pippen on the team. I've and Michael Jordan, of course. I got shooters like everywhere: Stephen Curry, Ray Allen, James Harden, Larry Bird. Even prime Anthony Davis could shoot some threes. I got people to spread the floor. I got playmakers like Steve Nash, James Harden, Larry Bird. Like I've got passes from almost every position. I've got shooters from almost every position. I got elite defenders at almost every position. And looking at your team, right? Like a lot of your guards, their offense tends to be more like drive heavy. It's gonna be hard to get in the paint when you have Tim Duncan and Shaq right there, right? So, um, yeah, I feel like those are the many reasons why I think my team is better. You guys let us know which team is better. I would like to like see some kind of simulation of like these two teams going at it, maybe
Yeah.
for a game or like
We
a final situation. Well, maybe we'll try to figure that out. I don't have the latest 2K, but uh,
yeah.
I
Um
I could
I
go
was
to
gonna
like last year's
say
2K and see if I could do something.
yeah, I was gonna say, do you remember the create create a team feature? I'm not talking about the ultimate team or my team feature. I'm talking about like I remember there was this one feature, create a team. Like you get to pick which players you want on your actual team, like any players from any team on any of the rosters, whether current or all time in 2K. And then you get to like do your own like pick your own team name, your own logo, your own uniforms, and all your branding stuff. Do you remember that game mode?
Barely. I
Barely. it was very interesting because like it sounds like my team, but it's not my team.
Yeah,
It's
it
creative.
sounds like my team, so that's why I'm like
Yeah.
confused on what it could
Like,
be.
did you know there was also one called Create a Player? Like not my player, my career, but like create a player. It's definitely like a
I
little
think
bit bizarre.
so.
They had that feature. It's just a little different. Maybe we try to figure that out and we can do like a 2K simulation, maybe like a 7 game series simulation or something. That'd be
That
low
would be
key
awesome.
interesting. Definitely. But yeah, overall, I say I think both of our rosters constructed were pretty good at the end. Um, it was a very fun episode for
It
sure.
was.
Yeah, and I think yeah, like some positions were a lot harder than others, and this was definitely a lot of fun, as we said, and I think that we paid homage to episode 100 very well, to say the least.
Yeah, I think this was probably one of my favorite episodes that we
Me
recorded,
too.
and it makes sense that one of our best episodes happens to be our 100th episode. So this was a fun way to celebrate it, and well, hopefully this weekend we could celebrate more for, of course, your birthday, and just being able to reach this milestone. So yeah, I
Yes,
can't wait.
sir.
I can't wait.
Definitely. I hope so too. And yeah, as we mentioned earlier, a lot more bangers to come. So make sure you guys stay tuned. You do not want to miss it at all. Um, per always, if you guys like our content, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, share. Follow us on all platforms. Um, and definitely stay tuned. We will continue to do our weekly updates, special edition episodes like this one, always fun. And slowly but surely, we are under 2 months away from the playoffs.
That's
Time is going
crazy.
by quick.
Yeah, it's going by
Yeah.
fast.
So, yeah. Um, hope you guys have a great rest of your day, night, and week.
Later, everybody. Bye bye.